All right, guys, it's a few days later, and I'm really glad I didn't throw in the towel. I've been hard at work, and I've been working on cleaning up the pathways and the plants, at least on one half of the garden. So it's looking a little better now, and I have found a few treats too along the way. Started clearing out these pathways using the weed whacker, and I realized that my raspberries are in their second bloom of the season, so thank you to my friend who gave me these plants. They're doing great, and the raspberries are delicious. My pepper plants are still a little bit buried, but at least I can access them now. And I am happy to see there are some red peppers starting that haven't been destroyed by the bugs. I've trimmed up my okra, caught up with that, and you can see there's now lots of new okra that are growing. I'm back to my every other day harvest schedule, and see, the flowers are all over the place. So okra is doing great now. I ended up harvesting about 20 acorn squash. This row was supposed to be bean plants, but instead it has turned into a row of passion fruits. I like passion fruits, so I'm okay with that. I also managed to free some cantaloupes. I've harvested maybe 6 or 8 of them since a few days ago, and I've lost a few to the vermin. Don't know what kind, but anyway. So I brought out some buckets to cover them up at night, and that seems to be doing the trick. So these guys are almost ready. Cleared up this pathway at least, and was managed to dig around and find a whole bunch of spaghetti squash that were ready for harvest. So I got about, I think 10 or 15 of those as well. And there are still a few hanging on. My Seminole pumpkin row, which I think is part Seminole pumpkin, part butternut squash. Whatever, I don't care. It's going kind of crazy, and I'm just gonna let the vines stretch. I've got space, so I'm gonna let them roam. These guys, you can actually harvest them when they're green and they taste delicious. Treat them like summer squash. But if you leave them on the vine, they'll turn into winter squash, and these Seminole pumpkins last for months. It is August now. I still have a couple Seminole pumpkins that I harvested last fall, and they're still good in my storage in my garage. Crazy. Here's my yard long beans. I've harvested them a couple of times, and they're ready for another harvest. They're going like gangbusters now. These beans are so delicious. If you ever get a chance to grow them, you really should. Here's my row of cucumbers that died out while I was gone. So I went ahead and cleared up the row. And I think what I'm gonna do, because believe it or not, it is time to plant the fall garden. Actually, it's a little bit past time. I'm always a little bit behind, but whatever. This row is just about ready, and I think I'm gonna put in a row of fall beets. What is growing really well this year are my squash plants. Look at this. This is the green striped cusha. I just have so much fun looking out over my winter squash craziness. I know it's out of control, but look at it. It's so fun. I've never grown a blue Hubbard squash before. I grew it as a trap crop to hopefully attract the squash bugs and keep them away from my other plants. And I don't know that that worked, but I've had a pretty good squash bug year this year anyway. But look at this thing. If I pick this up, I swear it's going to be 30 pounds. It is enormous, and it makes me laugh every time I look at it. Here's a special treat. This is called a Jaharadale pumpkin, and it's like gray when it's all grown. Right now it's about the size of a soccer ball. I don't know if it gets much bigger than that. It is an heirloom variety, and you don't get too many per vine, so it's sort of a specialty pumpkin. These candy roasters are enormous. I need to look up when you're supposed to harvest them. I suspect it's like all the other winter squash, and you wait for the vines to start dying off. But, oh my gosh. Growing stuff is so fun. Pumpkins! These are the sugar pumpkins, so they're pretty small. But look at I got me a little pumpkin patch. Here's my handy dandy weed trimmer. It's got a metal blade on the bottom of it, and this is the tool of choice currently that I've been using to clean up my pathways. There you have it. So my garden still has a lot of work to do, and I didn't bother showing you the other side again because I haven't touched it yet, so it's pretty bad. However, this side's getting there anyway, and I'm glad I'm working on it. It's getting better, and the harvest is still delicious. It's definitely not the prettiest garden, and it's still a work in progress, but never give up, right? Or, as I like to say, just keep growing.